My greenhouse is pretty new and I'm still working out the best way to grow certain plants. Lately, I've been growing my first tomato crop in the greenhouse. Tomatoes are generally determinate or indeterminate. These are indeterminate or vine-type tomatoes. I planted them from seedlings around 2 months ago and check them out, they're pumping along. I've also got determinate or bush-type tomatoes growing in the garden outside. These typically grow to around 50 centimetres. They don't need staking and are bred to produce a determined number of flowers and fruit, which all ripen around the same time. But here in the greenhouse, these vine tomatoes will keep growing taller and taller, flowering and fruiting throughout the season. I'm not using stakes in here. Instead, I'm using some strong garden twine, which means I can just loop the vines around the string as they grow taller. Also, as they grow, it's important I prune off any excess leaf or laterals to make sure the energy goes into fruit and not all the leaf. These tomatoes were all planted into a fresh garden bed, which I made with the no-dig garden layer method, meaning there's beautiful rich layers of carbon and nitrogen like manures from our goats and chickens and blood and bone. But it turns out it was too much nitrogen and our tomatoes have developed some leaf curl. It looks horrible, but I'm not too worried because we're still going to get a harvest and this soil will mature beautifully, meaning all future crops will go gangbusters. It is a curiosity though, because meanwhile, other nightshade crops, which are the same family as the tomatoes, like eggplants and capsicum, are loving life in the same type of soil mix. So there's so much to learn from gardening. And while my heart does break a little bit seeing this situation, I know it is going to be okay. The thing that you have to be really careful about in greenhouses is the reduced airflow, which can lead to some fungal diseases sometimes. And unfortunately, this is what has happened here. A few weeks ago, I noticed that we have the early signs of tomato blight. This looks like a black dot surrounded by a yellow halo, and it'll start at the base of your plant. Left unchecked, it'll creep all the way up. Basically, can kill your plant if you don't treat it. The way I look after it is I remove any impacted leaf and you're going to bin or burn that. And then we did a one-off copper spray and now I'm doing a weekly milk and water spray to prevent that disease from spreading. I'm using 1 part low-fat milk and 1 part water to grow beneficial microbes on the leaves. Make sure you spray both top and underside of the leaves and drench them to get a good coating. This spray can act as an antifungal to prevent blight from spreading, but it won't cure established infestations. There have definitely been a few bumps in the road to me getting my first crop of tomatoes from my new greenhouse. But I'm on my way, and the key thing will be to turn up and to turn up often to keep checking on them and respond to any problems that might come up. At the end of the day, it's also really good to remember that as gardeners, there's always going to be problems, but there will always be solutions.